And joining us now, defense attorney David Bruno with me here in New York, and Kenya Johnson joining us from Atlanta. David, your thoughts?
Yes, I think the prosecutor's plea offer is a fair one because they're not killing a bug with a sledgehammer here. It's a reasonable thing, and the fact that she may not be able to work in a place like this is probably a good thing. You know, looking at this video, and the video does speak for itself, and it's concerning that this individual probably shouldn't be in this type of environment.
Bruno, I think they're lucky to be alive.
Absolutely. This is a very serious crime. I investigated these. I was a major crimes assistant prosecutor in Morris County, New Jersey. And the fact is, this is a kidnapping. This is a first-degree crime, one of the most serious in our statutes. And yes, the trauma of going through an experience like that is telling.
You know, David, this reminds me a bit of Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, sure.
In Paris. And last week we had physicians that were engaged in Boston, anesthesiologists, and they were both murdered inside their apartment. But the motive here was to get jewelry.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
It's jewels that the robbers took.
Yeah, that's clearly the motive. And in the Kardashian case, it was actually reported that they were planning this for over a year. So this may be similar. It's forensics is important, like your previous guest said, but also who's been in contact, who's been watching, is there security, are there other contractors that have been in contact with this family, and that investigation has to take place as well. And canvassing around the neighbors, the video surveillance from up the street and maybe in the neighborhood. So all those things are things that prosecutors and police are looking at right now.
You know, all right, David Bruno. The defense has a defense. It's like shock value, right?
Sure. It's coming in. It's going to be argued to this jury.
It's going to be argued to this jury. They have
yeah.
already taken pictures of the defendant. The defense has, and they've given them to the prosecution.
Yeah, but they didn't even have some good answers when the court or the prosecutor asked the questions about those pictures. It's the condition that's going to be important because it has to be relevant. And if the sexual assault took place with an erect penis, you need an erect penis to be displayed to the jury. But the fact is,
they say it choked the woman.
Yeah, that's the state, and the state has to. They have to prove now. And concerning things that I just heard was they don't have a cause and manner. And that's really surprising to me, because if it's unidentified, that does not make any sense for a prosecutor to be standing up in front of a jury and making an argument that a homicide has taken place.
There's scratches on the defendant, on his elbow. And I'm looking at the direction of the scratches, assuming they're from the victim, right?
Right.
I think the devil could be in the details right there.
Sure, that's how the prosecutor is going to prove their case. It's going to be the circumstantial evidence, the defensive wounds, the injuries, motive, right? And failure to act after. And we heard that he didn't immediately call 911, which would be the response that one would expect if it's an accidental incident.
So should they do this, Dave, in the courtroom so everybody can see it, or should they go in a back room with the jury?
No, like I said, it's coming in, and that's going to be the issue as to how it's going to be presented. But a judge and a prosecutor is not going to want to restrict a theory of the case from a defendant because that's an appealable issue. Right. So if I were this prosecutor, hopefully I'd try to get a cause and manner first, but I wouldn't restrict the defense.
All right. Felony murder. Dave Bruno, your thoughts?
Well, not guilty on the top count, which was the first degree, which would have probably required some deliberation. Yeah, the biggest problem for the defense in this case was the inconsistent injury, because the medical examiner testified that it was blunt force trauma that killed this individual, and he had no explanation for that. And in addition, after this individual died, he hid the body. Obstruction, and we're talking a lot about obstruction tonight in this news cycle.
Right, and found guilty of that also.
Obstruction.
That's right, and there was blood on her clothes that he couldn't explain. Her clothes were ripped off, there was blood on them, couldn't be explained. All right, we'll be right back.